Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today we have talked about neoplasia. In neoplasia, we will talk about definition of neoplasia and two types of cancer or neoplasia called benign tumor or malignant tumor. Then we will talk about some features of neoplasia. Then we will talk about screening, and then at the end we will talk about epidemiology and some examples of benign and malignant tumor. And in this video, we will talk about these things, and in next video regarding the neoplasia, we will talk about spread of neoplasia, carcinogen and carcinogenesis. So from the very beginning, what is neoplasia? As the name indicates, new tissue growth that is unregulated and uncontrolled. Most specifically, that is monoclonal. You can see over here. In neoplasia, we have two types of cells: neoplastic cells and non-neoplastic cells. And we will discuss about non-neoplastic syndromes also later on. Neoplastic cells are parenchymal cells, and non-neoplastic cells are supporting cells. So, if we talk about neoplasia, this is uncontrolled, unregulated, monoclonal, new tissue growth, and it starts from a single mother cell that is mutated. What is mutation? We have talked about any change in tiny part of DNA molecule, that is mutation. And first symptom of neoplasia or cancer will be presented to you after the 30 divisions of that single mutated mother cell. So you can see over here, if there is a one mutated germ cell over here, or no sorry, mutated cell, after the first division it becomes 2 in number, after second division it becomes 4, third division it becomes 8 and 16 in number, then 32 in number, and after the 30 divisions of that single mutated cell, the number of cell will be this, you can see over here. So after the number of these, after the numbers achieve this figure, then first symptom of cancer or neoplasia will be exhibited by the patient, or you can see. And if we talk about after every divisions, the that mutation also increases. You can see there is a one mutated cell, after division become two mutated cells, after third division become four. So with every divisions, the mutation also increases. And we classify, or you can differentiate these neoplasia. There are two types: benign and malignant. Depending upon after the biopsy or excision, you can differentiate either it is benign or it is malignant. So for benign, just remember one concept, that we use a suffix called oma for all the benign tumors, but we have few exceptions. We made a mnemonic LM to NGHS, like lymphomas, mesotheliomas, melanomas, neuroblastomas, gliomas, hepatomas and seminomas. All these omas are not benign in spite of having oma as their suffix. It means all the terminologies which is having suffix oma that are benign, except these are the exceptions. Other than these exceptions, if you can zoom in over here, other than these exceptions, all the fibromas or papillomas or adenomas or all the terminologies having oma as a suffix, that will be known as benign. These are the exceptions. And for malignant, we have two types: sarcoma and carcinomas. Carcinomas are nothing but tumor of the epithelial cell, maybe transitional or squamous or glandular. And sarcomas are the tumor of the soft tissue, or connective tissue, or mesenchyme. 40% of the sarcomas are present at the lower limb, and soft tissue tumors or sarcomas are having high vascularity as compared to carcinoma and other benign tumors. And if we talk about compare and contrast between benign and malignant tumor, benign having a capsule around it made up of stroma, and malignants are mostly not having capsule. And benign tumors are organized, but malignant tumors are not organized. And the most important or diagnostic feature for benign or malignant, that is metastasis. Benign tumor generally do not metastasize, but malignant tumors mostly metastasize, but there are few exceptions like rodent ulcer or basal cell carcinoma or gliomas, they rarely metastasize. Other than these two examples are the malignant tumors having strong tendency of metastasis, but benign tumor don't have at all. Then in benign tumor it is having low mitotic activity, but malignant tumor have high mitotic activity plus necrosis and decrease apoptosis. This is the feature of malignant tumor. And due to this increased mitotic activity, the size and of the nucleus will be increased. You can say increase in nuclear cytoplasmic ratio. That is also diagnostic feature for malignant cancer. Then benign tumor, there is no local invasion for benign tumor, but there is positive local invasion in malignant neoplasias. You can see over there 4 steps we will talk about in detail after this slide about local invasions. But what happens in local invasion? First of all, progressive infiltration happens of the mutated site of tumor. Then it becomes invasive becomes destructive, and then it penetrates in the surrounding tissue and metastasizes. And there is a loss of polarity in metastasis. There is also a hallmark for malignant tumor. And what is the hallmark of neoplasia? It is anaplasia. Now we will talk about characteristics of neoplasia. The features. Number 1 feature is monoclonality. You can see this differentiates neoplasia from hyperplasia and repair. Normally what happens, there is a 1:1 normal hyperplasia or repair, but in monoclonality there is not such ratio. Only single mother cell or single mutated cell will go into cell divisions and lead to the neoplasia formation or cancer formation. You can see over here is an example called glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase enzyme having 3 isotopes A, B and C present on the X chromosome. Normally it have 1:1, one from the paternal side, one from the maternal side. It also followed by hyperplasia and repair. But in cancer it don't like that, because if a female patient having 2 X chromosomes, as we discussed that G6PD, it is an X-linked you can say molecular substance enzyme. A female having 2 X chromosomes, so there is inactivation of 1 X chromosome. This concept is called lionization. And what happens in neoplasia? There is only 1 copy, either paternal or maternal, will go into cell divisions and neoplasia will occur. Other example is B lymphocytes having light and heavy chains. The light chain is made up of kappa and lambda, and there is a ratio of 3:1 normally, but if the ratio is 6:1 or 1:3, that is lead to the lymphoma, and that is normal ratio 3:1, and that is also the normal ratio for G6PD. You can see over here 1:1 normal, and that is different from hyperplasia and repair, because in repair and hyperplasia the ratio is 1:1, but in neoplasia not set, because 1:1 has been 1:1, 1 copy from the paternal side, 1 copy from maternal side, 1 copy from the father, 1 copy from the mother, then they will go to cell division, that is hyperplasia or repair. But in anaplasia there is monoclonality, either copy from the mother or copy from the father will go into cell division. Then we'll talk about anaplasia. Yes, the hallmark of anaplasia, the hallmark of neoplasia is anaplasia. What is anaplasia? It is the absence of differentiation. You cannot differentiate between normal cells and their mutated cell. And there are 3 things you should not forget about anaplasia. First of all is pleomorphism, change in the size and shape of the cell. Hyperchromasia, increase or dark staining of the DNA, and then nucleus to cytoplasmic ratio. Normal nucleus to cytoplasmic ratio is 1:4 or 1:6, but what happens in anaplasia, it becomes 1:1. This ratio also, nuclear cytoplasmic ratio also increases in pre-malignant conditions. We have atypia, absence of any type, but you can differentiate between pre-malignant atypia with the neoplasia with other symptoms like pleomorphism or hyperchromasia. What happens in nuclear cytoplasmic ratio? Increased mitotic activity, decreased polarity, and this is the most common or most important prognostic dependent feature of the neoplasia. Okay, then we will talk about growth rate. Growth rate of this neoplasia or proliferative rate is inversely proportional to differentiation. As you can see, if a tumor or neoplasia is highly differentiated, you can differentiate between normal cells and what are the mutated cells. It becomes highly differentiated cells have slow proliferative rate. On the contrary, if that neoplasia is undifferentiated, you cannot differentiate between normal cells and mutated cells. The undifferentiated cells have high rate of proliferation, high growth rate. Then we will talk about local invasion. We have talked about there, but what are the 3 steps of local invasion? That is a specific feature for malignant tumor, not for benign tumor. First step is, there is a cells are joined together with a strong bond called E-cadherence. The first step of that malignant tumor or mutated cell to invade in local invasion, that is loose attachment of the cell to cell, or problem is that E-cadherence. So the cell becomes loosely attached with each other. In second step, there is attachment and degradation of the basement membrane. That is very important clinically and diagnostically, because there are one carcinoma called carcinoma in situ. Carcinoma at its own place, it do not degrade or cross a basement membrane. But once an mutated cell or neoplastic cell attach and degrade the basement membrane, one enzyme called hydrolase or collagenase, it becomes now you cannot say it in carcinoma in situ, because now it's going beyond the limit, and after crossing or the basement membrane, after degradation of the basement membrane, it will attach and degrade the ECM external membrane. Then fourth step is increased cellular motility. Cell becomes more mobile and it will attack the capillaries, and after attacking the capillaries, it will enter into capillaries, it will enter into blood stream. That is called intravasation, and our host defense can cope up the situation if he is strong enough. So that these 4 steps are very important in local invasion. Do not forget these steps. And basement membrane, degradation of the basement membrane is very important. You should not forget. Hydrolase and collagenase, those enzymes which degrade this basement membrane. And carcinoma, if there is any carcinoma or neoplasm, before the basement membrane degradation, that is carcinoma in situ. But once any neoplastic cells or mutated cells or proliferative cells degrade the basement membrane, then it's no more carcinoma in situ. It becomes metastasized to the surrounding tissues by attacking these ECM and intravasation. Then we talk about metastasis. Already talked about metastasis. This is spread of infection. There are 3 ways. It is the first of all, either it will spread to the blood vessel, whole blood circulation. It may spread to the lymph vessels, lymphatic system, or it may spread to the body cavities, cranial cavity, thoracic cavity, abdominal cavity, pelvic cavity, or the cavity within the thoracic cavity, that is mediastinum. Then we have telomerase activity, upregulation of the telomerase activity. As we have discussed in detail today about telomerase, after every division, normally the size or length of the telomerase decreases. But what happens in neoplasia, it upregulates the telomerase continuously. So in spite of continuous, uncontrolled, unregulated cell division, the size of telomerase do not decrease. So that's why it's continue, keep on, cell division is keep on continuing, because there is no decrease in size of telomerase. It also, our age factor is also dependent upon telomerase. The person having long telomerase, having a long age, and our diet or our exercise or our meditation or any factor which you can say it prolong our age, basically it increases or upregulate the telomerase activity. Then we have upregulation of decay accelerating factor that will inhibit the membrane tag complex, and if the membrane tag complex is inhibited, then there is no funny telling. We have talked about membrane tag complex when we talked about complement system. At the end of there is a stimulation of this C3 convertase, then C5 convertase, and C5 convertase will bind with the C6 to C9. That will make a membrane tag complex. And what will do that there is enzymatic lysis. Suppose this is a cell. There is a membrane tag complex. You can see it make a hole in the cell membrane, and through this hole there is a lysis of the microbial products or the unwanted cells. So if there is a inhibition of the membrane attack complex, there is no lysis of the cell will remain alive. So this is the feature of neoplasia. Upregulation of the decay accelerating factor, inhibiting the membrane attack complex. Then we talk about cell organelles. There is a decreased mitochondrial strength and decreased left endoplasmic reticulum, or you can say decreased dominancy. And due to this decreased mitochondria, there is a decreased oxidative phosphorylation. There is a concept called Warburg effect. What happens in which Warburg effect? There is a glucose metabolism that shifts from mitochondrial oxidative phosphorylation to the glycolysis. And we will talk about that in detail. That in neoplasia, I have a feature called aerobic glycolysis. Glycolysis. Due to this aerobic glycolysis, there is increased amount of lactic acid production. You can see over here, because Warburg effect, there is a shift of glucose metabolism from mitochondrial oxidative phosphorylation to the anaerobic glycolysis. So that were the characteristics for neoplasia. Now we have talked about tumor-like conditions. First of all, we have talked about hematomas. These are the abnormal tissue present in the normal place, or you can say this is the non-neoplastic tissue cell growth present at the specific suboriented on the same place. The examples for hematoma are bronchial hematoma, this is the pathology in the cartilage, and Pete's-Jeghers polyp, glandular tissue neoplasia. Then we have talked. Then second type of tumor-like conditions are choristomas. This is the normal tissue present at the abnormal place, or you can say in ectopic pregnancy. It is an also example you can see of choristoma. There is a normal tissue, but the place is abnormal. That will come back. There is a pancreatic tissue in the stomach, example of choristoma. Brain tissue present in the nasal cavity, example of choristoma. Thyroid tissue present in the liver, example of choristoma. Okay, then we have at the end we have talked about grading and staging. The grading depends upon the histopathological report. You can see histologically we see if the cells are highly differentiated, it means this the grade is low grade neoplasia. And we can see high grade neoplasia to that neoplasia which are very less differentiated. Or you will see the slide and you can differentiate the normal cells from the mutated abnormal cancer cells. It means they are highly differentiated. You can differentiate between normal and abnormal cells. So it means you will name it as a low grade neoplasia. But if you cannot see or you cannot differentiate normal cells from the abnormal cells, it means they are undifferentiated cells or poorly differentiated cells. You will label it as a high grade neoplasia. And if we talk about staging, as for survival rate. So staging, if there is a person having cancer at stage 1, highest survival rate as compared to the person who is having at stage 4 cancer has less survival rate. In TNM staging, we have talked about T for tumor size, N for lymph node involvement, M for metastasis. The M, the metastasis factor, is most important prognostic and diagnostically. First you will check the M, number of M. We have targeted there is a size less than 2 cm, you will name it T1, size is 2 to 4 cm, T2, more than 4 cm, T3, like that. If one lymph node is involved, N1, if 2 lymph nodes are involved, M2. If there is a metastasis, M1, if there is no metastasis, M0. So you will first check the M alphabet in this staging. If there is M0, you will label it as a benign tumor. If it is M1, you will label it as a malignant tumor, because malignant tumor is a feature of metastasis, but benign tumor don't have. And then we will check the N factor, lymph nodes involvement. This is the second most prognostic and diagnostic feature of TNM staging. So tumor size will check, lymph node involvement, and metastasis. If I have given you an example, if there is a written that T2, N3, M4 means size is something more from 2 to 4 centimeter, for example, and N3 means 3 lymph nodes are involved, M0 means metastasis. In metastasis, we have a concept called seed and soil theory. Suppose if the person having a tumor somewhere, so it will spread through nearby that blood vessels. that is seed and soil theory, and there is a tropism, that there are some common places where normally that tumor spread. For example, lung cancer normally spread at the adrenals. So that was about staging and grading system. Now we will talk about screening. This goal of screening, you will come over here. The goal of screening is to catch the dysplasia. Dysplasia is a disorganized cellular growth or precancerous stage. It is an irreversible mechanism. In dysplasia, it is before division of mutated cells. You have to catch the dysplasia before it enters into irreversible neoplasia. Because we have talked in detail about neoplasia, that after the removal or elimination of any stress, any carcinogen that starts that mutation, after the removal of that etiology or a cause, the neoplasia will go on increasing because it is an irreversible process. But in dysplasia, if we remove the stress or we diagnose it and treat it well, then it becomes back to normal condition. So to detect a cervical dysplasia or cervical intraepithelial neoplasia, we will do pap smear. Therefore, we do mammography for the in situ breast carcinoma. We have talked about in breast carcinoma two types: rectal carcinoma in situ and Paget's carcinoma of the nipples or breast, in which there is eczema or dermatitis of the nipples and the skin, darker skin around the nipple called areola. There is inflamed, itchy, swollen nipples and areola. So for that we will do mammography to detect that condition, and for prostate we do prostate specific antigen, you can zoom over here, and digital rectal examination to check the the consistency and size of the prostate gland. And we have talked about there are some contraindication for digital rectal examination if anus is absent, if there is anal perforation, or if there is internal hemorrhoids or constrictors, or there is a pain, and most importantly if the patient is unwilling to do that. And we do colonoscopy and fecal occult blood for the colon cancer to detect that conditions. Then after the screening we have talked about epidemiology. The second most common cause of death in adults, male, adult, female and children, that is second most common cause of death in adults, male, female, children are cancer, second most common cause. And the first most common cause of death in adult male, or sorry, we will talk about general. The first most common cause of death in adult male or adult female, that is cardiovascular disease. Second most common cause of death in adult male or female, cancer. Third most common cause of death in adult male and female, chronic respiratory diseases. And most common cause of death in children, accident. Most common cause of death in children. Second most common cause, cancer. Third most common cause, congenital defects, heart defects more specifically. And if we talk about incidence rate of cancer, first of all we have talked about general mortality rate, like most common cause of death in adult male or female, that is cardiovascular disease. Second most common cause of death, adult male or female, cancer. Third most common cause of death in adult male or female, that is chronic respiratory infection. Now we are talking about cancer. The most common incidence, most common cancer, as we talk about incidence in male, that is prostate. Second most common is lung. Third most common is colorectal cancer. And female, for as we are talking about incidence, most common cancer is breast cancer. Second most common is lung, and third is colorectal. And we talk about mortality, so you can say most common cause of death with cancer in adult male, that is prostate. So yes, mortality is lung. For incidence, number 1 is prostate, number 2 is lung, number 3 is colorectal. For death, number 1 is lung, number 2 is prostate, number 3 is colorectal. For incidence in female adults, number 1 is breast, number 2 is lung, number 3 is colorectal. But for death or mortality purpose, number 1 is lung, breast, or the third is colorectal. You can see the lungs are the most common cause of death with cancer in adult male or female. So then in gynecological, if we talk about for incidence and for mortality, number 1 is endometrium, then is ovary, and third one is cervix. So that was about mortality and incidence based epidemiology. Now we will talk about some examples like parenchyma. Parenchyma defines the behavior of neoplasm. And parenchyma based, there are we will talk about differentiate benign tumor and malignant tumor. If there is a parenchyma, suppose there is a mesenchyme or connective tissue neoplasia, if it is benign, called lipoma, and lipoma if becomes malignant, it is called liposarcoma. We have talked about that. Sarcoma, this is the tumor of the connective tissue or mesothelium, the soft tissue. Fibroma, it is a benign condition, and we have talked about all the suffix. You don't forget with suffix oma, with that exceptions also, will lead to fibrosarcoma. We talk about bone osteoma, osteosarcoma. Then we talk about melanocytes, that skin pigment. Benign condition is nevus or mole, and the malignant condition is melanoma. In spite of having oma as a suffix, but it is an exception. We have already talked about that. Then for the blood vessel, benign condition is hemangioma, and malignant condition is angiosarcoma. In lymph vessels, benign condition is the lymphangioma, and malignant condition is lymphangiosarcomas. Then mesothelium, there is no benign condition, but there is a malignant condition, the mesothelioma. And in spite of having oma as a suffix, it is also an exception. Then if we talk about blood cells and related benign and malignant conditions, number one is if there is hematopoietic neoplasm, there is no acute condition, only chronic or malignant condition, that is called leukemias. And if there is lymphoid tissues are involved, there is no benign condition, only malignant, that is lymphomas. We have talked about lymphomas, and then we discussed kappa and lambda. Normal ratio of kappa and lambda is 3:1, but in lymphoma what happens? It is a normal condition. In lymphoma there is a 6:1 or 1:3. Then if we talk about the epithelial cells derived benign and malignant conditions, if there is epithelium of the glands or ducts, adenoma for benign and adenocarcinoma for malignant. Papilloma, finger-like projections of these benign conditions, papilloma, malignant condition is papillosarcoma. Then if there is a placental epithelium is involved, benign condition is hydatidiform mole, and malignant condition is choriocarcinoma. Then if we talk totipotent cells of the germ cells, gonads, the benign conditions is mature teratoma or dermocyst, and malignant condition is immature teratocarcinoma. And if there is a testes, epithelium of the testes are involved, there is no benign condition, only malignant condition, that is seminoma of embryonal cell carcinoma. At the end, if the muscles are involved, if the smooth muscles are involved, the benign neoplasia for the smooth muscles called leiomyomas, and malignant condition for the smooth muscle neoplasia, that is leiomyosarcomas. And for the striatal muscles, even cardiac muscles or skeletal muscles, the benign condition is rhabdomyoma, and malignant condition is rhabdomyosarcomas. And on a nutshell, normal cells goes into dysplasia, that is disorganized cellular growth, that is before division of the mutated cell. At this condition we have to catch and detect the condition called screening. We have to do at dysplasia level, so that is reversible. It will not go to the irreversible condition. And then after dysplasia, there is a pre-invasive condition or in situ condition. There is no involvement of the basement membrane, but that pre-invasive condition, if do not diagnose at time or treated well on time, it will lead to the invasive carcinoma, in which we have collagenase and hydrolase activity, which attach and destroy the basement membrane. Now no more in situ carcinoma in situ. So that invasive carcinoma will lead to have a specific feature called metastasis. So that was about all about these features of benign and malignant conditions. Yes, in children we have talked about most common cause of death in children is accident. Second cause is cancer. So you can see over here, second most common cause of death in adults and children are cancer. You can see over here, cancer over here and cancer over here. And in cancer, the incidence rate, most commonly incident cancer in males are prostate. But if we talk about mortality, you can see for incidence, number 1 is prostate, number 2 is lungs, number 3 is colorectal. But if we talk about mortality, that lungs become that number 1 and prostate become that number 2. Same for the females. In incidence, breast are number 1, lungs are number 2, colorectal number 3. But when we will talk about mortality, breast will come into number 2 and lung will come at number 1. So lungs are having number 1 condition, mortality in males and in adult females. So in gynecologically, endometrium is number 1 in incidence rate and in mortality based. Ovary at number 2 for incidence and mortality. Cervix is number 3 for incidence and mortality also. So that was about our epidemiology, our screening mechanism, things around Warburg effect, tropism, tumor-like conditions. So memory type in place. That was about today's class. We have discussed about neoplasia. We have talked about mutation. We have talked about divisions and benign and malignant differentiation. We have talked about characteristics, screening, and epidemiology. In next class, we will inshallah definitely talk about spreading of this neoplasia, carcinogens, and carcinogenesis. Thank you so much.